welcome to SVG-TV's news for Wednesday, July the 29th, 2020. I am Bhavin Alve with the details. A flash flood watch issued for SVG last evening was discontinued at midday today. However, according to the SVG Meteorological Service, an elongated area of low pressure is located about 245 miles northwest of SVG. And although the disturbance is moving away from the Leeward Islands, it should dominate the weather pattern across SVG over the next 36 hours as it makes west-northwestward track from the island chain. The Met Services said light to moderate showers, occasional breezy conditions, and the possibility of a few isolated thunderstorms exists across the island into Thursday. Model guidance suggests a weak low-level trough should approach the island chain on Friday. Partly cloudy skies and a few sporadic showers are likely with no significant showers associated with the feature. On Saturday, humid conditions are anticipated as light southeasterly winds across the island chain, allowing for the possibility of afternoon localized conditions. Winds will be generally from the south-southwest, becoming occasionally breezy into tonight. Fresh to strong 30 to 40 km per hour southeasterly trade winds will persist across Thursday, while a gradual decrease in speeds will take place as the weekend approaches. Presently, sea conditions are moderate to rough, 1.5 meters to 2.8 meters. The Met Services said there will be a gradual deterioration, especially on the easterly coast, of up to 3 meters by nightfall. Small craft operators and sea bathers are asked to exercise caution as conditions can become slight to moderate, 1.2 to 1.5 meters in open waters as early as Friday night. And Vincentian sailors have been included in the government's COVID-19 displacement support program and will receive $300 for the next 3 months, starting from August. This was announced by Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves on NBC Radio today. PM Gonsalves said before they were repatriated, some sailors were stranded on the cruise ship and were not being paid, and they, along with those who returned home in December 2019, will benefit from the government's income support program.
We're making the payments to individuals who came from the cruise ships as early as the 1st of December last year. Because, remember, COVID was around since late last year, and some cruise ships decided to send some persons home early. More than that, there's some crew members who would have taken the time off to come home, even for a brief period for the Christmas. And we're going back. I don't want to disadvantage them. I thought originally January the 1st, but I thought December the 1st might be the most equitable. I don't think you have many from December last year.
The National Insurance Services, the NIS, will be making the payments on behalf of the government. And PM Gonsalves said basic documents will be required to be submitted by the sailors in order for payments to be processed and approved.
You're going to need to take, as a sailor, you need to take your seaman ID or whatever documentation you have. If you got a letter of discharge or whatever document you have, you take it. But it's also important that you take your passport so that you can show the stamp when you came in.
PM Gonsalves said as of July the 17th, more than 1,000 Vincentians have signed up under the displacement support program, and he anticipates another 1,000 will be added.
For the next 3 months, August, September, October, in the first instance, we will be providing with $300 monthly. To show you the extent to which the sailors are anxious to have something done. And the issue of leadership always is to see ahead. They didn't contemplate really that they would get anything. Because, you know, they're not paying NIS, at least most of them. some of them may make voluntary contributions.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Gonzalez said the government has agreed to pay hotel accommodation for at least 25 persons who are unable to pay for their 5-day quarantine. He said at some point they will, however, have to repay the government. As part of the new travel protocols to SVG, persons are asked to book a hotel approved by the Ministry of Health to be quarantined for at least 5 days.
And I want our taxpayers to know that at least 25 of them, maybe more, at the count I was told this morning before I came on this program, that we, the government, are paying for because they say I had no money. Well, they would have to pay that money. We will pay the hotel, because I don't want the hotel out of pocket. The government will pay the hotel. But be sure that you will have, you who are there for the 5 days and 5 nights, or longer if you are tested positive. You might be taken, I don't know, to the isolation center. I don't know. That's a medical judgment. But even if you go there, you'll have to pay. Because the protocols are clear.
PM Gonzalez said that the American Airlines flight that arrived last Saturday saw 95 passengers arriving and more than 40 cancellations. He said while some of the affected persons and others are blaming the government, it is up to every passenger to keep regular check of the protocols which are subject to change. He explained why the authorities are withholding passports of passengers, noting the implications it could have, especially for those who do not pay back the government.
You don't pay the money after the government pays. You will not get back your passport. You can say, Ralph can keep it. Well, you will want to travel. You may want to go back. And in any event, we can take you to court for the money. Even if we cancel the passport, the authorities cancel the passport, we can retrieve that money by way of a court action. So I'm very clear on it.
Prime Minister Gonzalez said American Airlines flights to SVG have not been discontinued and that they will continue to monitor the situation. He also noted that there are still some persons bent on breaking quarantine and cleared the air on what transpired with law enforcement officers who showed up at a hotel to deal with a matter regarding persons in quarantine.
And if you want to play a badge on, the one or two want to behave like that, well, the state has coercion at its disposal. Legitimate coercion. Lawful coercion. They went to the hotels. So some of them behave like that. Then when they're checked in, some of them didn't want to get checked in. Then when they're checked in, they're told they have to stay in. They come out, come into the bar and come into the restaurant. So the hotel authorities call the police. And in these exercises, you don't send the rank and file police, you send specialized unit, either SSU or RRU. And everybody knows that once the SSU or the RRU are mobilized, they have firearms.
Meanwhile, leader of the opposition New Democratic Party, Dr. Godwin Friday, said the party supports Sandals International taking over the Bocamet Bay Resort. However, he said the government needs to make the acquisition as transparent as possible. Dr. Friday said that this is not the first time that a deal on Bocamet Bay Resort was announced since its closure in 2016. Hence, persons need to be guided and guarded of such agreements made with not much information provided on the agreement with Sandals.
In the Democratic Party, we are interested in creating jobs and economic opportunities for the people of this country. And anything that promotes that, we are for it. the announcement that was made, the grand signing ceremony, we've seen these things before, with the ULP administration, and in particular with the Buckerman Play project itself. And so the people of the country, they need to know what exactly is happening to bring them on board, be more transparent about it, let people know what the nature of the agreement is. Is it a commitment to go forward, or is it just, a kind of memorandum of understanding and an indication of interest or a letter of intent?
Dr. Friday said the sale and payments of lands for Sandals Resort development also needed to be done in a fair and just manner.
Very serious issues, as you know, with respect to the land title issues at Buckerman Bay. How is that going? How are they going to be resolved? And to ensure that the people whose interests are affected, whose land is being is part of the project, who have not agreed to the sale of the land, how are they going to resolve those issues? And they have to take care of them in a just and fair way. Otherwise, the process itself would be stalled going forward. And we have said that we would work with Sandals, which is the case. Sandals is a very reputable hotel company in the Caribbean and have done tremendous projects all over the Caribbean. And so it's a company that we will welcome and we will work with them. But of course, we have to make sure that all the interests, all the people who are affected, that they're dealt with in a fair and just way.
The first phase of the selection process for a candidate to represent the NDP in the upcoming general elections for the East St. George constituency is expected to commence tonight. Linton Lewis represented the NDP for East St. George constituency in the last general elections, losing to the ULP's Camilo Gonzalez. 3 persons have already expressed interest to be the NDP's candidate for the constituency, 2 females and 1 male. Leader of the NDP's Dr. Godwin Friday said he welcomes the interest expressed by the 3 individuals to run on the NDP ticket.
Well, today there's part of the selection process is taking place in East St. George. As you know, there are 3 candidates, Renson Haynes, Adriana King, and Lavon Belloc, all excellent candidates. And as part of our process, the constituency party groups, constituency division, they will do their selection process tonight, and then they make their recommendation to me. And so that's phase 1 of the process going ahead there.
A similar selection process is expected to be carried out for the Mariaqua constituency in a few weeks' time. Meanwhile, Dr. Friday said his party has been doing all that is necessary to ensure a smooth election process and is confident that the people of SVG will give the NDP the chance to form the next government.
We are confident that the people in the country want a change and that they see the NDP as that change. The process itself, of course, we always have to be guided to make sure that the will of the people is, manifestly shown at the polls. And so that's what we are working on. And we are taking nothing for granted. We have to work very hard to win the trust of the people, but also to do all the things necessary to bring that desire for change, that trust and confidence to the NDP, to make it the result of the polls, and because everything depends on what happens when the elections are called and when people vote. So that is what we're working on. We are really very heartened by the response that we are having, the selection process of the candidates who have come on board recently, and the excitement that is generating. It's wonderful for the New Democratic Party.
The Venezuelan embassy yesterday hosted a song to Simon Bolivar and Chavez in commemoration of the 236th birthday of Liberator Simon Bolivar and the 66th birthday of Commander Hugo Chavez. Hugo Chavez was born on July 28th and died on the 5th of March 2013, while Simon Bolivar was born on July 28th, 1783 and died December 17th, They were both great leaders of the Republic of Venezuela. The celebration ceremony was held at the Venezuelan embassy and saw the unveiling of a painting entitled Bolivar and Chavez, Two Giants of the Caribbean, which was painted by Vincentian artist Nerissa King. Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonzalez was part of the celebration event, commending the artist on the painting, which he said is very impressive and a splendid representation of Liberator Simon Bolivar and Hugo Chavez. Prime Minister Gonzalez said that Venezuela's struggles are also part of SVG's struggles. He used the opportunity to share some fond memories of Hugo Chavez, including one with the oil agreement Petrocaribe.
Chavez never intended for us to have to pay anything at all, you know, for the oil. It's Fidel who advised him, and Fidel told me that himself. He said, I told Chavez not to do it that way because he has to understand his constituency in Venezuela, backward forces. And he has to understand also those in the hemisphere who would agitate and say he's just giving away Venezuela's resources. Never mind that the American corporations want to take it for nothing, you know. Never mind that.
Prime Minister Gonzalez also used the opportunity to highlight some of the support Venezuela provided to SVG's development, including with poverty reduction, education, sporting facilities, border control systems, and other infrastructural developments.
No banking could be done. No trade could be done. The vessels couldn't come. I want you to know this. We were making arrangements with Conviasa to come to St. Vincent. And there was a hub which was to be here for Conviasa, the Venezuelan airline, which would link not only here to Latin America, but for persons to go from here to go to Europe, to go to North America. The Trump administration extended the sanctions to include air transport and specifically Conviasa.
Venezuela's ambassador to SVG, Francisco Perez, said that the great legacy that the two Venezuelan leaders left behind will always be remembered and will be continued to be celebrated even through their struggles.
Africa historically fragmented, today encouragingly are promoting the concretization of the inspired continental project in Bolivarian ideology from their identity roots. Building a better world will only be possible if libertarian thinking become an instrument of struggle of the people against foreign neocolonial domination and against the domination of the current national oligarchies. Thank you very much. Long live Simón Bolívar. Long live Hugo Chávez. Long live unity of our people.
SVG's permanent representative to the United Nations, Her Excellency Rhonda King, has been appointed as one of two co-facilitators to lead the intergovernmental consultations on the comprehensive review on the UN peace building process to be conducted during the 74th session of the General Assembly. Her Excellency Craig John Hawke, permanent representative of the New Zealand to the United Nations, along with Ambassador King, will lead the consultations during the formal phase of the review process. The formal phase, which was scheduled to commence on July the 1st, 2020, is now expected to begin on September the 1st, 2020, due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Water is necessary for life and production, and with the regular rainfall in the country has been experiencing, many farmers have been capitalizing on the rainwater, putting behind them months of dreaded drought conditions. Too much rainfall, however, can have a negative impact on farms, and our news team, along with representatives from the Caribbean Agricultural Research and Development Institute, CARDI, Gregory Linton, visited a nearby farm to highlight the dangers of waterlogging and what farmers can do to ensure that their crops are not swamped. The CARDI rep said a majority of the crops grown here will not tolerate waterlogging for long periods of time. He said that dasheen is the only crop locally grown which can tolerate long periods of waterlogging. Linton said while some plants can tolerate around 48 hours of excess water overexposure, can lead to crop failure.
What happens with waterlogging is that the oxygen in the soil is displaced by the excess water, and then the roots of the plants, they cannot breathe. And the fact that they cannot breathe, this stresses the plants and they will eventually die. Most plants, vegetable crops, they can tolerate at least 48 hours of some waterlogging. After that, they should recover, although a little bit stressed, and like tree crops, a little over 48 hours. But beyond that, they start to get affected in the sense that the roots begin to shut down. So the longer they're exposed to waterlogging, the greater the problems will be. Also, our nitrogen gets leached away by a lot of by excess water. All right. So while the plants, they need water, excess water or the soil being saturated with water is not very good.
The CARI rep said planting on ridges in raised beds as well as contour drains can help to minimize waterlogging.
Can be done, for example, on slopes and even on flatlands. You can plant on ridges or raised beds. So what that does is it provides drainage, so excess water can flow out of the root zone of the plants. Okay. Something else that can be done is, and particularly on flatter areas, you can have contour drains. So what these contour drains do is that they allow the water as well to drain from the entire plot area. Okay, and these drains, they can be diverted away to the lower ends of the fields where they can be collected in ponds and so forth. And these ponds can be used as supplementary irrigation water. But we must bear in mind that sometimes these ponds can sometimes bring in things like mosquitoes. So placing some simple fish that will consume mosquitoes can help to reduce that.
Linton said mulching is another method of preventing waterlogging and soil erosion.
Other ways at mitigating waterlogging problems is with, or at least erosion problems, is through mulching. So if we mulch, we incorporate a lot of organic matter. We help to improve the structure of the soil. So you allow it to drain freely, so it's not as compact and so forth. And also it will help to conserve some of the topsoil. So when the heavy rains come, instead of washing away instead of the water droplets hitting the soil surface directly and washing them away, it will hit the organic matter and it will seep through the soil and it will not cause as much erosion.